the use of my research and planning into music magazines, I was able to understand and recognise the common conventions that appear, in particular those belonging to indie alternative, which is my chosen genre of magazine. When choosing the title of my magazine, I took into account the font, size, meaning, position, length and colour of others within the genre. Kerrang, for example, which is the name of one of the more popular rock indie music magazines, was chosen to mimic the sound of a power chord played on an electric guitar. A bold black sans serif font with detail reflecting that of shattered glass is also used to emphasise the erratic nature of the magazine, whilst also suggesting the broken nature of the genre. This is different from the name of the pop magazines, which directly refers to the genre of the magazine. The masthead itself is also placed in the upper left-hand corner rather than centrally, whilst also making use of the bright, vibrant colours that highlight the energetic nature of the genre. The different titles that I considered for my own magazine included Tempo, Develop, Plus, Ambient, Tune, Eccentric and Pulse, and conducted a tally chart for audience feedback. This determined my final decision on the title Eccentric. I chose this name as it fits my genre, which is indie alternative. The word eccentric means a person or a person's behaviour which is unconventional or slightly strange, which collaborates well with the target audience associated with this genre, who are slightly strange and quirky. I used a sans serif font with bold, evenly positioned letters, which also has the shattered glass effect similar to that of Kerrang. I placed the masthead top centre on the front cover. I then had to tackle the difficult task of finding a suitable colour scheme that would remain consistent throughout my magazine, thus helping to create a house style. I ultimately combined yellow, white, red and black. These colours are commonly used within indie alternative magazines to form a visually appealing piece. The yellow of the masthead and the red of the background contrast very well. This can also be said about the cover lines, as the text is highlighted by a coloured rectangle, such as the yellow on the black and vice versa, and also the black text highlighted by the white rectangle. These particular design elements are commonly used throughout music magazines from this genre. The language used for the cover lines themselves take into consideration the young adult target audience from 16 to 25. They are also consistent of various literacy devices that I gathered from my research, such as rhetorical questions to help engage the reader, and the use of punctuation such as exclamation marks and alliterations. A consistent house style reflected by the use of fonts, images, colour scheme, and other different design elements is kept throughout all music magazines, so a reader may recognise the brand identity. By using an average of 5 chosen fonts, my decided colour scheme and the written contents such as mentioning the artists are consistent on my front cover, contents page and double page spread. Whilst also placing a photo of the same featured artist on all 3 pieces, I have formed a house style that is present throughout. I base the clothing and the use of mise-en-scène within my images of both my female and male model on the image portrayed by indie alternative musicians. These styles ranged from darker, more sophisticated clothing to more casual wear such as jeans jacket and a simple t-shirt. Women also wear dramatic makeup used to enhance features to aid visible to appeal the male audience and also to help generate our own perspective of indie alternative musicians. Backgrounds range from plain colours such as black and white and also coloured backgrounds, hence the reason why I chose to use a coloured background of red on the front cover of my music magazine. Within a main image, the artist generally remains directly focused towards the camera, which forms a more prominent connection with the reader, which I replicated in 2 of my own images that I used on the front cover and on the double page spread. When constructing the layout of components of my front cover, I tended to create a more valid presentation through the use of different design elements such as dividers between cover lines, banners, and a freebie advertisement of posters that would potentially be included in the magazine itself. I also varied the sizes of some of the cover lines to make it more appealing to the eye as displayed on other music magazines. The contents pages that I looked at through my research were found to have approximately 2 to 5 columns with headings containing information about the pages inside, some of which specifically relate to the cover lines on the front cover. The number of images and whether the same featured artist was placed on all 3 pieces also differed from each magazine. I decided to use 3 columns with individual headings, page numbers, and a description of the contents, with the use of 3 images, one of which is a smaller version of my front cover that is placed in the top right-hand corner in an angled position reflecting the more eccentric element of my magazine. Double-page spread articles vary from just 2 pages to several, containing various amounts of images and the featured artists. The written content also depends on the type of article that is used. This can range from a straightforward question and answer interview, which I chose to use for my double-page spread, to a full beginning of musician's story. Making use of the components found within my research, such as the drops caps, main heading, full quote, a brief description of the artist, and placing questions in my interview in alternate bold colour, I constructed my double-page spread. I decided to use 2 double-page spread, as this allowed me to include 2 images of the artist, and I was able to include all of my article that I wrote. I also ensured the language I used reflected that of my interviewee through the descriptions of his actions and through the use of informal language. The fonts and colour scheme that I used on my front cover and contents page, I was able to retain throughout all 3 of my pieces. Features such as the price and barcode used on the front cover, a date and issue number used on the contents page, and lastly the page number and the name of the magazine on the double page spread were also added to increase the realism of the music magazine.